Hi there, this is Steve Kramer, UNCG Business Librarian with a short introduction to private company research featuring our databases such as PrivCo.
We are going to start from the campus homepage and navigate to my management guide, although there are other business school links on this list that also work for this, and then jump down to the private companies box right here. Now, as you may know, in the United States, private companies are not required to release any information at all about their financials to us, the public, which is very different from public companies. Instead, the private companies usually have to report to the Secretary of State, in which they're incorporated, what their address is and who is the president or CEO. That's it, really. Just for example, here in North Carolina, here's a private company, got the record, and we got a name, an address, and nothing else, not even estimated sales. They're not required to do anything to give us more details about them. And that's why there is a market for researchers who sell private company research that libraries and other companies buy, other organizations. And those include ReferenceUSA and Nexis Uni, which have estimates on sales figures. And PrivCo goes even deeper, as you'll see in just a second. On the other hand, you can also use some of the industry ratio benchmarking tools like BizMiner and RMA to get a sense of the nature of the industry, typical financial performance, typical profit margins, typical sales size, etc. But again, that's assumptions you're making based upon averages. There's really no official source for this unless you've got inside information about the company and work there and can look up its financials, its accounting books. So that's why we have databases that do have some value, and I'll show you examples of a couple of these next. First off, PrivCo, which does prefer you to create your own PrivCo account, use your UNCG email address and make up your own PrivCo password. And for example, their content, let's look at Uber using venture capitalist research, merger acquisitions research. Sometimes they even find lawsuits against companies in which financial details have to be disclosed. They do a lot of detective work, and here's an example of that detective work. Income statements for this private company, balance sheet, cash flow, VC activity, M&A activity. There's quite a lot of data for this particular company, and often you'll find such details in PrivCo. Also, there is an advanced search for private companies if you want to just do some screening, create some lists of companies, and even have some really detailed industry definitions, as you can see over here. So that's very quickly PrivCo, a really good source for data on private companies in which, through detective work, PrivCo is able to get some good details. The ReferenceUSA database covers every private company in the country, as well as every public company in all their business locations of either kind. And for example, it will usually give you an estimated sales figure for a private company, such as Proximity Hotel. And there's the number right there, 8.5 million. So really good for finding any size company, at least estimated sales figure. Also really good for doing advanced searches when you need to do competitor analysis, like find all your competitors, or also find business-to-business customers. And I have a separate video just on doing this. If you want to learn more about ReferenceUSA and where they get their data from and how they make their estimates, go to the About Us page. Finally, there is Dun & Bradstreet D&B company records inside Nexis Uni. And I recommend you access those records using the business section. And then company dossier, which will open a new window. So if you have a pop-up blocker, you might need to go ahead and release it. And then finally, use either find a company page or perhaps create a company list page to get to those Dun & Bradstreet private company records. I forgot to mention that I do have a separate video on using BizMiner for private company financial benchmarking.